I'm from Philly. Whenever people ask where I'm from, well, that's what I'll say. Of course, there's always more to the story. I mean, I was born in Illinois. That's where my parents met. They got married in San Diego, bought a house there, and I spent more of my childhood years in San Diego, where I'm now raising my own family. But Philadelphia? That's where my earliest memories come from. And you might sometimes pick it up in the way I say orange or water. At least sometimes. As a Phillies fan, you might notice my drastic mood swings every fall, especially recently. See, I don't know if my parents ever meant for Philadelphia to be a part of my story. We moved there when my dad became terminally ill, and I was only 3. We moved with my aunts where he could get more care as his condition worsened. It was only meant to be temporary, but that was long enough for me to feel at home there. And when it was time to start a new chapter for my family in California, I was wondering, why? Why did we have to leave? It felt like that movie, Past Lives. And growing up, I often wondered what life would have been like if that path didn't diverge. Over time, most of my family in Philly would disperse, meaning these days, I don't go back very often. It's been years. Now I have my own kid who's about the same age I was when I lived there. And he's on spring break. So, I think it's time to head back. First off, I have to get there with a layover in Dallas. Not my favorite. We're going to Philly! I hope, knock on wood. I don't have wood nearby. But yeah, we've been stuck in Dallas for 8 hours on a layover. There's a reason why DFW is like my least favorite airport, but hopefully the plane we've finally made it onto takes off and lands in Philly in just a few hours. Pardon the mini rant, but I don't know if I've ever had a connecting flight here that wasn't delayed by several hours. It has a Capital One lounge, but that's always got a long wait list, probably because everyone's flight is delayed. Remind me to put more effort into avoiding DFW next time around. Okay, well man, yesterday was one of my all-time worst travel days, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure I've had worse, but this was one of the worst ones in a while. Yeah, we ended up getting here at like 2:30 a.m. Who wants to do that, especially when you're traveling with a 5-year-old, you know? Couple takeaways. One, I love traveling with Rhys because as hard as that day was, he took it like a champ. Like, he handled that better than a lot of adults in the airport did. Like, nobody was having a good time. But just imagine how much harder that is on a 5-year-old. He took it in stride. And that's like probably the most important quality you need as a traveler, is just to be adaptable. And when you realize you can't do anything about it, figuring out how to make the most. It's a great skill to have in life. He did exactly that. All right, despite how the weather's making it look, this is actually a spring break trip, and so I'm wanting it to be kind of laid back and slow, unlike what we've seen so far from the airport fiasco. But I do have a few goals to get through while we're here, a few missions, all right? Number one, Phillies game, for sure. I have yet to see a game at Citizens Bank Park during this current stretch of the team being competitive. You know, like most baseball teams, they kind of go through like 5 years of being solid, 5 years of being not so great, sometimes a lot longer than 5 years. But anyway, they're in a good moment right now with the current core of the team getting old. I feel like I'm overdue. Man, look at this frick. The game we're going to is their first game in the series against the, as of now, undefeated Dodgers. World champion Dodgers. So, should be a good matchup. Also want to bond with Rhys, you know? This is our time to hang together. We're going to go to the Franklin Institute. I know there's some good, like, kid-friendly interactives there. And lastly, yeah, eat good food, because there's plenty of it around. Oh, one other thing. I want to visit the old neighborhood. Yeah, actually track down the house I lived at when I was Rhys's age. Have no idea who's living there now. We'll probably just get to, like, drive past the outside and take a look. But, all right, let me put a hat on or do something about this, and then let's go! So the easiest item on that list to check off is going to be the one about good food, because there's no shortage in Philly. Now, the place to start is going to be smack in the middle of Center City. We're going to go to the Reading Terminal Market. It's a classic food hall, got all your options. The only problem with these food halls is I never feel more indecisive as I do when I'm in one of these. You got Tambayan for Filipino food. I caught Rhys eyeballing some snapper. But eventually what was going to win out was the classic, the soft pretzel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tear off bits for you. It's still pretty warm though, you can tell it's hot, right? Dunk. Say it tastes what? Okay, you like it, huh? Now, after the market, I had to introduce Rhys to an absolutely essential treat, water ice. We weren't far from their South Philly stop. This place is a classic. Cash only, standing room only. If that, we ate ours out on the sidewalk. I'm glad we're eating this outside, huh? The ground gets some too. Water ice is your classic dairy-free, fruit-flavored slush. I got a mango flavor, he got a lemon. We made a thing of it. Well, it's official. According to Rhys, it's the best flavor he's had in his life. Well, all that was pretty good, but when it comes to classic foods in Philadelphia, kind of feels like we're missing one, right? Oh yeah. This kid has never had a proper cheesesteak. While we're in Philly, we're gonna fix that. If your knowledge of Philadelphia comes from network TV travel shows, you've probably heard of the great Pat and Gino's rivalry. And let me tell you, that is totally overblown. But hey, it's Philly. We love competition, so if doing a head-to-head taste test showdown is your thing, we got you. D'Alessandro's and Chubby's are Philadelphia institutions, and it just so happens that in Roxborough, they both have locations right across the street from each other. First up, D'Alessandro's. Are you ready for this?
That looks stronger than I thought.
Here I love the way the cheese folds right into the meat. They absolutely nail it. Hey, here, try some.
The middle part tastes like pork.
It tastes like pork?
Yeah, this one is medium too.
A discerning palate, you might say. Here, try it where it's like all together. Next we go across the street to Chubby's.
What is that? This is gooder than the other one.
You like this one better? Why do you like this one better?
Because it's cheesier.
I think I have the opposite take as you. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm glad he can form his own opinions without being too shaped by my influence. Now, let's talk to him about what the Phillies should do with Nick Castellanos. After fueling up at another Philadelphia institution, we headed into South Philly for the afternoon. South Street, Philadelphia, in the late 1960s. At the time, it was considered one of the city's rougher areas, but that didn't stop this artist from moving in. When his wife opened an art boutique, he started mosaicing the walls, then the vacant lots next to their studio. The project took on a life of its own, and his mosaics became more deeply personal. While they first were made from found objects and recycled scraps, they started to include family artifacts and deeply personal references. The site still stands today, and this is what it's like. Now, there was one spot in South Philly that I absolutely had to get to while I was in town. Otherwise, this whole trip would be a failure. You guessed it, Citizens Bank Park. The tightest grip that Philadelphia still has over me is through my baseball fandom. If you know me, it goes without saying, go Phils. All right, we just arrived at Citizens Bank Park, and tonight it's like the center of the baseball world. Okay, so when I booked the tickets and I saw we were playing the Dodgers, probably could have anticipated it would be a big series, but for it only being like a week and a half into baseball season, this is a big series. The Dodgers have not lost yet, and they've swept some really good teams. They swept Detroit.
Both teams are gonna win.
Rhys has taken the way under and predicting a baseball draw. I don't even know if it's still a draw if both teams somehow win. All right, tonight's game is going to be on Apple TV, so the fam can watch us back in San Diego. But this very much feels like the center of the baseball world right now. Sure, I might be biased being a Phillies fan and all, but I'll say it anyway. I think Citizens Bank Park is one of the best ballparks in the big leagues. In fact, I'll give it top 5. San Diego's Petco Park has got to be one of them too, and I'd put PNC in Pittsburgh on the list. Maybe round it out with Coors Field and whatever we're calling AT&T Park in San Francisco now. Anyway, we spent a while wandering the concourse, getting souvenirs and snacks. And of course, shooting the Fanatics hot dog cannon. Okay, wait for the instructions.
All right. You got 3 hot dogs. You aim with that bar, you shoot with that green button.
All right. Pretty good. Yeah. Up top, Rhys. All right, time for Rhys's first Phillies game and my first game in CBP in a long time. Rather than beat you over the head with an analysis of an April baseball game, I'll provide you the details. The Phillies contained Shohei Ohtani, but it was a treat to see him play live. Jesus Luzardo threw a gem. Trey Turner stole a couple bases. That guy is fast. And at the end of it all, the Phillies won on a walk-off overturned call. I love the Phillies. Most of the time I get to see them play. They're the visiting team, so it was a treat to get to see them in their own home ballpark. All right, morning after the Phillies game. That game was fantastic. Phils handed the Dodgers their first loss. It was weird. I've never seen a game end on a on a overturned call. So cool that it worked in our favor. It's just an odd vibe. Now we're on our way to the Franklin Institute, and check it out. I love this part of spring in Philly. Like, we're gonna walk underneath all of these. The Franklin Institute. It's a large, multi-level science exhibit right in Center City. Although, for all I know, maybe I did go there as a kid, and I just don't remember it. Either way, it was fresh. We got to race against the Fanatic. Wait, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is something special.
Spend some time building, and explore this giant heart, like we were in a Magic School Bus episode, inside the body of yet another one of our classmates. Yep. This is what a heart looks like. Behind you, oh, those are.
Daddy, we can see it in this window.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we see a sign.
We got to keep going there, Rhys. We're clogging the heart.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we're pretending to be blood cells. That's why we can't stop. Oh, we were just in the lungs.
Yeah, look at these. We went to the heart. To the heart. Look, I think we found the way out.
We found our way out? All right. We're almost there, Rhys.
This was like an escape room.
It was like an escape room. Well, with our time in Philly wrapping up, there was one last visit I had to make. Okay, so this is pretty wild. This is the neighborhood I grew up in. I can't even remember the last time I was here because this exact neighborhood we left a long time ago. I still remember what the interior of that house looked like. Kind of terrible, to be honest. No, it was a house of its time. So it was a total. Well, I lived here in the 90s, but the house was built in the 70s, and it looked the part. We had green shag carpeting, like dirty avocado green. The walls had like this bright yellow sunflower wallpaper. It could have been on the set of that 70s show. But you know, the layout of the house was actually really cool. It had this area I remember that went down. It was kind of like a den with a fireplace, and that was my play area. That was where I had like my toys and stuff, and it had a door that opened up into the backyard, which is nice to have a playroom that connects to the backyard. That would be great to have in our place right now. Yeah. So I actually had to do a bit of sleuthing to find if I even had the right address, but I found it. And along with that, I actually found some photos of what the interior looks like right now. Pretty different. They got rid of the shag carpeting, they got rid of the wallpaper. That should not be a surprise. Even then, though, the most recent photos were from the last time it sold, which was in 2010. So it might not look like this anymore either, but this is at least a bit more recent. I often look at Philly as this like parallel world. Like, what if we had never moved away? What if I had grown up here? Of course, my life would have been completely different, and I wouldn't have a lot of the best parts. So I'm glad with how things turned out. But yeah, it's still a big what if. Mm-hmm. This is what I usually think of as my childhood home, even though we only lived here for a couple of years, and my family didn't technically own it. We stayed here while my dad was sick, and I have some of my earliest memories here. In case you're wondering if I did that thing where you knock on the door and tell the family, hey, I used to live here. I didn't. And I don't know why. I could have. That would have led to some interesting stories if they were home. But part of me felt content just to be right in front of it. To see the outline of the den where I used to play in. To get a peek at the backyard with the slope hill where I remember a couple birthday parties. Kind of an emotional experience. And then Rhys had to go to the bathroom, and since I wasn't knocking on any doors, we quickly got reacquainted with the woods behind my old house. Good times. Coming back as an adult made me realize something. I grew up in a bit of an Eastern European enclave. There are a lot of Ukrainian, Georgian, and Central Asian families and restaurants in the area. And so when we were looking for dinner, we went to a plainly named spot, Uzbekistan restaurant. This place was a lively joint. You like it? That's really good though. Before heading home, we got breakfast at one of my new favorite spots, Gilda. Maybe it's pronounced Gilda, but they have a bunch of Portuguese stuff, so I've been saying Gilda. And bopping around Fishtown for a little bit. So I definitely have like a past lives relationship with Philadelphia. Like if things had gone a bit differently in my early years, some more of my story would have played out here. And who knows where that would have led me. Obviously, I really like how things turned out. I mean, that's kind of the way it went in past lives too, but you just wonder. This was a very good visit to Philly, a very good city, and one that's always going to be a part of my story. Philly You might not be home anymore, but I'm glad you were. And I'm glad I can always come back.